Okay, so I just got back from home after doing a episode of the Sports Hub series, which I will be uploading either tonight or tomorrow. But before that, I actually went to the Buenos Mateus Almeida event that the Quakes have hosted today, and let's just say it was an insane, crazy event. I mean, there was so many people actually showed up to this event. I think roughly about 3,000 and 4,000 people actually went to the event and want to see the Mateus Almeida Q&A session that was pretty much the headline of that event. And before that session actually began, there was already probably about 3,000 people just standing near the stage and just waiting for Mateus Almeida and the rest of the coaching staff of the San Jose Earthquakes to be on the stage. I mean, the way that the hype and certainly the way that people were waiting for them to come out, it didn't really felt like a managerial unveil kind of thing. It felt like it was a player unveil. It felt like we probably just signed one of the best player in Europe and that they're coming to MLS, and that's why there was so many people lining up and waiting to see this. No, it was just a managerial unveil, and it was just an event where we welcome Mateus Almeida to San Jose. And even doing the Q&A session, after just 7 minutes of the Q&A session, Mateus Almeida basically just kind of said, you know what, forget me actually sitting on this stage where, I'm covered by the roof with all the pouring rain that is going on. And by the way, doing that Q&A session, it was pouring rain. And what he basically decided to do is that he just pretty much jumped off the stage with the rest of the coaching staff, and he basically continued the Q&A doing there, and also decided to shake hands to the people that is in the front row. And by the way, I was also able to shake his hand twice doing that Q&A session, and I was actually very lucky to find a spot that is right in front of the barrier that separates the stage, and it was just crazy. I mean, it almost felt like I was going to a concert and I was going to meet one of the artists that I really want to meet and one of the singer that I really like. And the way that people literally just decided they want to take a selfie and decided to sign autograph with Mateus Almeida and even shake his hand, it was just absolutely insane. And, it just shows you how much that this fan base has clearly have a huge belief that things are going to turn around this season, and it is pretty clear that the Quakes could actually do some very important things and probably completely change and flip the script of what they did last year. Now, as I said many times before, despite the fact that I'm kind of optimistic about Almeida chances of really turning our fortunes around this season, until I see the resort, we will of course talk about it. But for now, it seemed like everybody know that the Quakes could potentially do very well, and that Mateus Almeida, it feels like there is a whole vibe of in Mateus we trust right now with the team. But either way, let's actually get back to what we're going to be talking about today, which is the news of the week. Fortunately, I do apologize that I spent about 4 minutes talking about that event, and I probably should have just made a single video about that event because it was just so crazy. But either way, let's talk about some of the news that just happened these last couple of days, and we begin with Carlos Vela. He is actually rumored to move to Barcelona. And this is not just any Barcelona. It's the Barcelona team that currently plays in La Liga, and it is probably the most recognizable name besides Real Madrid and Manchester United. Now, usually, whenever there's a player in MLS or rumor with a big club like Barcelona, we usually ignored it because usually that rumor kind of goes away, but it hasn't. I mean, it's been 3 days since the rumor has been talked about, and we're still talking about it to this day. Like MLS is still covering this like it's almost as if this is a a big historical moment in the league history. And if this move does happen, then this would just be insane. This would be something we have never seen before, and I don't think anybody will see this coming. Where a league that's known for bring in superstar from overseas to just retire, and the fact that they could go back and join one of the biggest team in the world, yeah, that would be a very shocking kind of event. And in many ways, I think this move does make sense because Barcelona, they do lack some attacking depth, and they already said that Carlos Vela would be their short-term option for the attacking depth. And keep in mind, Vela, before he was with LAFC, he played with Real Sociedad, and when he was with Real Sociedad, he was pretty good. He was one of the better player of that team, so I won't be surprised that this move could actually happen. But next up, so Kaku and Hector Villalba has been linked with Club America, and today the Red Bulls actually rejected the first bid that Club America have made with Kaku. They decided to give him around $9 million of transfer fee to get Kaku, and the Red Bulls basically said no. And it looked like the Red Bulls want Club America to just smash the record of the MLS transfer fee in order to get Kaku away from them. And in many ways, I think if you are the Red Bulls in this situation, I wouldn't sell Kaku. I wouldn't even accept any amount that Club America might actually send to you. Mainly because, one, you only just had Kaku last season. You literally just bought him a season ago. And I know that there's always this talk about how, MLS, when you acquire some young kind of talent, eventually you're going to have to sell him off. But not after just 1 year. Like, they only had him for 1 year, and the fact that the Red Bulls are they're on the cusp of going into the CONCACAF Champions League, and they need their best player, which includes Kaku, probably one of their better player in that team, to play in CCL. There's just no way in the world that I see the Red Bulls sell Kaku. Like, I think maybe in a couple of years down the line, they probably would do it, but not now. It just feels like it's very soon. Now, with the Hector Villalba situation, we shall see if Atlanta would decide to let go of Villalba. Tito Villalba has been there for a while now, although, Atlanta's have already sold one of their best player, Miguel Almiron. Well, I would say about to sell one of their best player, Miguel Almiron, to a team in Europe. I doubt that Atlanta would sell another big player and just once again cripple their team, even though if Club America is going to offer them a huge amount of money to able to get him. Speaking of Atlanta United, one of the former Atlanta United player, but now with FC Cincinnati, Greg Garza, suffered a quad injury in the U.S. men's national team, and it's not squad, it should say training there. So I'm actually just gonna erase that, and I'm gonna put training. So yeah, Greg Garza unfortunately suffered a quad injury during a training session, and certainly if you're Greg Garza, this has to be heartbreaking because this might be your only chance of you actually appearing in a game with the national team, but now looks like that's not going to happen because of this injury. And if you're an FC Cincinnati fan, I know you're probably very concerned about this and the fact that is he going to be ready before opening days? And my answer to that is probably yes. I mean, I don't think it's a very serious quad injury. I think he'll recover just in time for the regular season. So yeah, for Cincinnati fan, you don't have to worry that much about this. But moving on to another Ohio team and to their biggest rival now, the Columbus Crew signed Brazilian winger Robinho, and this is not the the Robinho that went to Man City, but more like kind of like the poor man Robinho, and that his full name is actually Robinho Barbosa. But still, it is definitely a decent kind of signing. He's a young kind of Brazilian player, and every time you decided to sign a young South American player, there is a good higher chance that he would turn out very good in MLS. And I say higher chance, meaning that, probably there's a 75 or 60% chance that he turns out very well, but at the same time, there could be a 40% chance that this guy is just a complete random South American young talent that nobody really talks about, and that he probably won't do well in MLS. So yeah, we'll see how he will do in MLS, and we'll see if the Columbus Crew would with this signing could pay off in terms of improving their attack. FC Cincinnati, of course, they also sign another player because that's what they do this offseason, and that's what they've been doing to try to build their squad. And this time they decided to sign midfielder Alan Cruz, who I talked about in the last episode that they were rumored to get him. Well, it didn't take very long for them to sign him. And I know in the last episode I said that he was a number 10 and he was a central attacking mid. He's not. Okay, I just read further information about him and also hear what other people talk about him. He's not a number 10, which means that FC Cincinnati still have not been able to find a number 10, and that kind of concerned me with this team. I mean, it's one thing that you can sign some decent MLS veteran kind of talent, and you sign a guy like Alan Cruz, who is a very talented midfielder, but at the same time, you still have a big hole in terms of that attacking midfield spot, and probably that is a spot that is something you do not want to have a hole in it. So yeah, we'll see if FC Cincinnati will basically plug that hole and eventually sign a central attacking mid. The Portland Timbers look like they are going to plug a hole that they've been kind of having throughout this offseason, which is that striker position, and they are rumored to actually sign 2 young DP striker this offseason. Or actually, they're going to sign a young DP striker, but they have 2 options to do it. And the first option is that they're going to be signing a player that is currently playing in Mexico. They didn't say his name or the club that he is currently playing with, but they said that he is currently playing in Mexico. And the other is going to be Ezekiel Ponce from Roma, who is currently on loan with AEK Athens. So yeah, we'll see if which option they would eventually pick. And I just think that for the Timbers, they really need a striker. I mean, as much as Jeremy Abowasi, what he did in the second half of last season was incredible, and that there's a lot of hype surrounded him, I think he is just still too young to just completely carry this team. And knowing what happened in the playoffs where he wasn't really a big factor, yeah, that is why the Timbers need a striker, and they need someone that can put the load off of Jeremy Abowasi. I mean, again, Abowasi is no doubt a very young, kind of talented player and certainly have a bright future ahead of him, but to ask him to carry a team that is known as the Portland Timbers and known as one of the most recognizable and one of the team that could potentially have title ambition, yeah, that's a little bit too much to ask. But meanwhile, moving on, Albert Vela is now reported that he is going to stay with Houston. So in the last episode, I talked about how Albert Vela is going to go to Europe, and that it looked like he is not going to be staying with the Dynamo. But now, all of a sudden, it looked like he is going to be staying with the team. But they also said that he is going to be, while he is staying with the team, he could still be sold off in the summer, and that It looked like maybe Elise is waiting for the summer transfer window, and usually during the summer transfer window, that's when the big club usually come calling and decided to take away that player. Although, if you're the Houston Dynamo, I'm pretty sure you're trying everything and anything to try to please Albert Elise and trying to keep him at Houston. Because if the Dynamo lose Elise, that is a huge blow in terms of their attack. Meanwhile, moving on Sebastian Javinko. So he is very eager to hear about his future with Toronto FC. So Javinko, alongside with Bradley and Altidore, still have not received a new contract. Their contract is actually going to end coming up at the end of this season in 2019, and Javinko certainly is showing some concern that he is probably TFC probably don't want him anymore, and that maybe he is going to be forced out and get waived in the end of the season. And if he does get waived at the end of the season, I guarantee you there's going to be a ton of MLS club that is going to be calling for his service. I mean, Javinko, one of the best striker in the league, and one of the best striker in the past couple of years, that is going to be available via free agency. Yeah, I'll definitely take that. And for TFC, I said this about them in the last episode of how they're going through a period where this year is going to be probably their last year where they can actually compete before they're going to have to rebuild, because of the fact that their core is just getting so old. Like, their core is aging really badly, and that they just need some fresh new kind of piece in their team to build up a new core so that they can compete in the future. So the question is, if you're going to do that, are you going to get rid of Javinko? And if you're going to do that, would you want to let him go just for free and join another team around MLS? I mean, that's some big decision that TFC has to make, and I'm pretty sure that's a big decision that the new GM of TFC, Ali Curtis, will have to make at the end of the season, alongside with the other players that is going to be out of contract. Although, from what I'm seeing right now, I think TFC probably will get rid of Bradley, because let's face it, he is not only he's getting old, but he has started to show the form that he was with the national team, and it's now slowly coming into his club form. But I don't think they're going to get rid of Altidore and Javinko yet, because they're still very important piece for them, and they'll probably hold on for them for the next 2 years before maybe they're gonna have to sell them off when they will reach their mid-30s. And then finally we got Nicholas Ladero. He has openly said that he would go back to Boca Junior if they are going to be calling for his service. And what's interesting about this is that Ladero has said that he's happy with the Seattle Sounders, but now all of a sudden he says that he want to go back to Boca. And anytime when a player decided to speak out and say that he wants to join another club, that's usually not a very good look, and that usually worries a lot, or worries the team that he is currently with. And the Sounders fan base have already kind of said that this is kind of interesting. If he's going to leave us, he said that he loves the team, and that he would of course stay with this team as long as possible. But now all of a sudden he decided to say, yeah, if my former team comes calling, I will no doubt join them. That will be very interesting. And when Ladero does let go, I would be very interesting to see what the Sounders fan base would say. Do they think that Ladero is kind of a snake, saying that he loves the team, but then he decided to join another team? I don't think he's not going to, or I don't think he's going to be called as a snake, mainly because one, he's not joining their biggest rival, the Portland Timbers, and two, he's going to be joining another league. So you can call him snake all you want, but you are never going to be playing against Boca Junior ever again. mainly because they're not even in the same continent and not even in the same confederation. And then finally, I know I kind of said finally with this, but there's actually one more, and it also involved with the Seattle Sounders. And usually I always end these news of the week with some kind of interesting news, and this is one of them. The Sounders have decided that they are going to change their shirt sponsor from Microsoft Xbox to Zulily. Yeah, Zulily. And for those of you that don't know what this company is, this is actually a company that is an e-commerce company in Seattle. And yeah, let's just say that name isn't the best kind of name to sponsor your jersey. And I think one of these days I probably would do a video where I am going to rank some of the worst names or some of the worst sponsor to put in an MLS team jersey to some of the best names and some of the best sponsor to put in an MLS jersey. I think for me, besides Zulily, that could potentially be one of the worst name to sponsor a team jersey. I would say that maybe YouTube TV might be the worst name to sponsor a MLS jersey, mainly because one, when you look at it on an LAFC jersey, it just does not match the jersey whatsoever. It just makes the jersey look kind of ugly in many way. And two, anytime that you are if your shirt is sponsored by a video sharing company or a social media kind of company, or even the thing that I am just doing right now for my news of the week and about to upload to the site that I'm talking about, that is not a good way to basically put your shirt sponsor. And in many ways, it's kind of lazy that LAFC decided to put YouTube TV as their sponsor, mainly because that's just their main broadcast. I mean, couldn't you just go out and find another sponsor that is just not your broadcast and not the network that you're going to use to show games for your fans? I mean, that just seems really lazy for them. But either way, that is pretty much it for the news of the week. Let me know in the comments below what else I missed doing these last couple of days. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash that subscribe button, and yeah, I will see you guys next time.